What's up, everybody? Matthew Harris here in Miami Beach, just rolling through the city. Don't really have my high beams on because it's daytime, but man, I was just thinking about how incredible life can be when you live it with passion, when you live it with certainty. It's a great life, guys, absolutely a great life, but you can't give up. And there's a story in the book by Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich. If you haven't read the book, I'll give you a clue. You don't actually have to read the whole book to know what it's about. Just read the title, Think and Grow Rich. But anyway, here's what he tells a story in that book of a young man and his uncle who go out west in search of gold, right? So their whole idea was to go west during the gold rush and to get rich. Didn't know anything about gold, but they got excited and all that kind of stuff and borrowed a whole bunch of money from their family, went west, and you can imagine they were frustrated when they didn't find any gold. So they gave up and foolishly sold their land claim to somebody else. And when I say foolishly, you'll understand what I mean in a second. Here's what happened. The man they sold it to brought in a gold mining expert, and the expert let him know that if he just dug 3 more feet, he'd find the largest deposit of gold that had ever been discovered up until that point in time. And so you can imagine that uncle and his nephew, how they felt, realizing that they had quit 3 feet from gold. And so my question to you watching this video right now is, what have you quit on in life? And it's scary when you think about the things you might have missed out on because of the decisions that you made. And I'll tell you a story that what happened to Eileen and myself. We found ourselves quitting 3 feet from gold once in our life, and we just vowed never to do it again. Here's what happened. We had a goal of going on this really exotic vacation and started putting the money aside, started planning for it and everything. And then life kind of got in the way, as it tends to do, and found out we had a bunch of other unexpected expenses that came up, and it looked like we were not going to be able to afford this trip. And so we canceled it. And man, it was a tough decision, but we made it, right? We're looking at reality, trying to be responsible adults. And a week later, we made over 5 or 6, I can't remember, 7 grand for the week or something crazy like that, and made more than enough money for the trip and for our expenses that had come out of nowhere. And we sat there looking at each other and realized that we had quit 3 feet from gold. And from that moment, we made a vow to each other that even when things didn't look like they were going our way, we were not going to give up. Because most of us are trained to only look at the world and what we see. And we make our decisions based on what we see. It's kind of like looking at a radar screen, right? You can only see what's on the radar screen. That's it. But there's so much more to this earth and so much more to this planet that's not shown on a radar screen. And when I say radar screen, I'm talking like, those submarines or those guys, the Navy have these radars that can show them what's around them. But it's not showing them the entire earth. It's not showing them everything else, right? And so we as humans have this habit of only making our decisions based on what we can see. But what I've come to understand, and very, very painful experiences of my own, is that what we can see is only a fraction of what's possible. See, that's where faith comes in, and that's where believing that the goal that you've set up for yourself and focusing on that with this rabid, insane focus and belief that you're going to accomplish your goal, that's where the difference happens. Because when you really believe that things are going to happen that you can't see, that'll work in your favor, that's when the magic starts to happen. It's almost like God sitting there saying, okay, let me see how bad do you want it. Let me see if you're really serious about this goal. Let me see if you're really serious about what it is that you want. And I'm going to test you. And he says the same thing about himself. Test me and see that if I'm faithful. And guys, one of the things that we have to get better at is to first off make a decision to not just look at and believe in what we can see. We've got to believe that the world will move in our favor, that things will move that we can't see to make our dreams become reality. And God is the one behind that. Making sure that if we believe that he'll be faithful to make sure that he steps in and makes up the difference for us, guys. And so don't step back when you need to be taking steps forward. If you've got set a goal right now and things aren't working out the way you expected, that's just a sign that you're on the right track. Don't give up just because you got some challenges that came up. And there may be some serious challenges, guys. There may be some major challenges. But remember the story of this uncle and his nephew who went out west and quit 3 feet from gold. Don't let that be you, guys. And so until we talk again, my challenge to you, as always and as it will always be, is that you dream, then find a way. God bless, guys.